Hello everyone, and welcome to another Game of Thrones Kingsroad news video, as the newest update has arrived. After the free-to-play launch failed to meet many community concerns, it would be understandable for players to consider this update make or break in terms of continued interest in the project. As for myself, as critical as I've been of the developers and what they've brought to the table after the promising early access, this update feels much more promising. It feels to me that the team has heard the concerns and is beginning to make efforts to fix them, even if it is only a start. Either way, before we get started, I would like to ask that you consider liking this video and hitting the subscribe button and bell icon to stay notified on my new uploads. It would mean a lot and greatly help the channel towards the 1,000 subscriber goal. Of course, I will also link the Steam announcement for the update in the description below if you'd like to read along with me. With that out of the way, let's discuss the Season 1 update. Just like the last update video, the first thing I'll be discussing is the new region content, since it is what I am most interested in. I mentioned in the last update video that there was what appeared to be a blocked path leading to Griffin's Roost. My theory was confirmed as the Crow's Nest region was added, which contains the castle of the same name as well as the Griffin's Roost castle. These are the seats of the Morrigans and the Conningtons respectively. Of course, with the new region comes staples that we're used to in new areas. A main storyline, side quests, and repeatable content including the new Shadowcat Ferocious Beast. The main story does seem to be a breath of fresh air. In it, we have to liberate Griffin's Roost for Stannis. There doesn't seem to be a huge narrative going on here, mostly being a hack and slash your way through enemy after enemy with a little bit of stealth mixed in. It also feels a bit short, but overall it feels like a good intermission from the overarching plot we've been following. What I like about it the most is that it doesn't try to create a massive plot that feels out of place at times, which I feel the main storyline from the previous area of the Stormlands did. It didn't turn out that poorly, but I think the more grounded nature of this storyline is where the plot really shines. As for the side quests in the new region, we get just 2, but they are a single quest line, which is in my opinion the best they've done so far. Instead of fetching items or even killing foes to save someone, you instead assist a girl who returns to her village to find it raided, or at least that's how it seems at first. I think this quest did great in drawing you in with a simple, grounded narrative just like the main storyline, but also leads to a more intriguing storyline as the quest unfolds. Quests like this are the biggest strength of Kingsroad, and I hope the developer allows the writing team to show us more of this. There isn't a lot to go over on the feel of the region itself, as it is quite similar to the rest of the Stormlands we've seen so far. However, the design of the castles deserves a quick look. Both Crow's Nest and Griffin's Roost are on the smaller end of castles we've seen so far in the game. They do both still have nice details to admire, but in particular, Griffin's Roost is located on a cliff face, overlooking Shipbreaker Bay. Unfortunately, there's only one area you can really look out from to get a look at the view below, and you can't get into the interior of this castle either. Overall, the region is much smaller, but also with content spread out better than the rest of the Stormlands. The look of the region is also mostly similar to the other areas of the Stormlands, which was one of my biggest praises of the last update. Add in the views of the bay, and this has only been improved in the new region. Although the new region is highly anticipated by fans of the single-player gameplay, it could be argued that the biggest update this time around is the Kraken Raid. This is a lengthy, multiplayer boss battle that allows players the opportunity to battle a lore-accurate Kraken. My general impression is that it takes too long to complete successfully. Despite having a team that all met the momentum requirements, we only managed to get through little more than half of the health of what I assume was the Kraken's final stage. The time limit here feels arbitrary and unnecessary when you already have to meet momentum requirements. Difficulty-wise, there is a part with the Kraken's tentacles blocking your path, and the attacks it sends out are difficult to time. I feel the rest of the boss is too easy. In other words, the only part that is really adding to the difficulty is this pointless timer. If the time runs out, you fail, and get no rewards at all, which I feel isn't very respectful of player time. Overall, I was excited for the raid, but it is a huge disappointment. If the timer were removed, I might find it more entertaining to play through once or twice. The problem is that it is mindless and not difficult, so I can't see it being something I would want to do very often. The last problem is that the fight is in several stages. After draining the Kraken health in one stage, you are simply directed to another area where the fight continues with a new health bar. I'm not a fan of this way of handling things. Other games will often at least show you that you have to take down its health multiple times by using multiple health bars. The stages also feel unneeded. Your first fight is against the tentacles only. After that, you need to cross a bridge blocked by tentacles before a second fight against the Kraken itself. Then you have to go through a tower, fight it with crossbows, and finally fight the Kraken for a third time from the coast. This last Kraken stage is almost identical to the second as well, with a different attack set, but mostly just feeling like you're being run around aimlessly. It just feels a bit tedious, and since none of the stages are difficult, it is a big letdown when you fail only because you didn't kill it quick enough. Time gates aren't that uncommon in MMO raids, but this is not an MMO, and it feels like just another way for the developers to push players to spend for damage buffs to make it killable. If it were more difficult and engaging, I would be more okay with this as it would feel fresh when restarting. As it stands, failing once discourages you from trying again as the previous stages aren't something fun but just a hurdle to climb. Overall, it has its upsides, but it needs some major tweaks. One change I'd like to see is for the player to be shown from the start that you need to take its health bar down 3 times. This way you can know after each stage if you are making good enough time to complete the whole raid. I think the need to move between locations as though you're chasing the Kraken instead of the Kraken trying to track your location makes it feel less threatening as well. I think fighting from the last location right away makes more sense, with the Kraken unlocking new movesets as you take its health bars down. The stages in between the fights with the Kraken could still be incorporated as well. The quick attacks from the tentacle on the bridge could be something the player has to dodge after the first health bar is taken down, maybe for a minute or two before the Kraken returns for the second stage of the fight. The crossbow could stay involved with one available for a player on the team to use. It could deal a lot of extra damage, but come with the downside that the player using it will need to be wary of attacks as being hit while stationed does more damage. Having someone on the crossbow would then have a direct benefit on the fight without feeling out of place. Lastly, the only way to fail should be if all players are dead at the same time. They could even add maximum lives for each player to keep the difficulty high and promote good dodge or parry timing. Either way, that covers the biggest changes from the update. However, there were a couple of balance changes and improvements I'd like to go over quickly. The momentum penalty when fighting enemies with higher momentum was removed. This means you won't be additionally penalized for being low level, so if you are good with attack timing and can stay alive long enough, you can theoretically take any fight. This change does deserve praise, as it makes the game more accessible, especially to free players, and has been one of the things hurting the game the most in my opinion. Beyond the Wall and Alter Memories rewards can now be claimed by using reward attempts exclusive to them instead of the RP system. Even though rewards are still limited and attempts can no longer be refreshed using RP tokens, using RP on these always felt a bit wasteful anyways, so specific reward attempts just for these still feels like an overall benefit. Hopefully they continue to phase out the RP system. My only criticism is buying attempts is too expensive and gold dragon costs should be lowered. That's about all I wanted to cover for this update. Although there were aspects of the new raid boss I was critical of, I can safely say I think this update was better than the last one. It feels like the first update where the developers truly began to listen to the suggestions made from the community, even if it isn't perfect. The story also feels more like something grounded, taken right out of Game of Thrones. Unfortunately, it does feel like the story additions are getting shorter every time they add to it, but if that means it will come with stronger quality each time, then I have no problem waiting. Considering where I was after the previous update, this one is giving me more hope for the future by far. That's going to be it for me in this video. Let me know your opinions on the updates in the comments. As always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.